So, as part of the Good Friday Agreement, as most people know it, there was an agreement that power would be shared, and that the largest party would be able to nominate a first minister, and then the deputy first minister would come from the second largest party. And what this has always meant in practice is that the two, a lot of people would consider them to be sectarian parties, the DUP and Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin actually are focusing more on issues rather than actual sectarian stuff. Certainly, like they always will say that the Republicans, but they've been focusing on the cost of living crisis and all these different things. But they've traditionally ended up getting the deputy first minister, which is why we had all sorts of things. We had like the DUP came out of Ian Paisley, the Reverend Ian Paisley, the older one, not the one who's in Parliament now, the one who died a few years ago, who was a Presbyterian minister, and very very like old fashioned, don't believe in evolution, all these kind of things. And Sinn Féin have been linked to certain members of paramilitary organisations, as have the DUP. So one of them being like Republican, one of them being you know loyalist, as they call them. So anyway, this has always happened, and they've always had like a DUP first minister, and the deputy has been Sinn Féin traditionally, and then it's just switched. It's just switched over, and Sinn Féin are now getting to nominate the first minister, and the DUP are having to nominate the second. The deputy, and they are refusing to do so, and therefore that means that the parliament can't run. So this is there. It's not the first time there have been issues with Stormont being able to run. Like there was the cash for ash issues and all those things that they have crippled the ability to function. But this time, I think there's a huge willingness from people on both sides of the sectarian divide and no side of the sectarian divide to get things done. It just appears to be the DUP saying, actually, no, we're not going to do this, because they are saying that it's because of the Brexit protocol, the Northern Ireland protocol, which basically means that Northern Ireland can do a little bit better than the rest of the UK because it can trade with the EU on the old terms, but that puts basically a trade border in the Irish Sea. So Northern Ireland is separate from um, mainland UK.
I mean,
So yeah.
sort of, do you not accept that? Let's just pause there for a moment, Paul, because I mean, do you not accept that the protocol is a massive negative, both in principle, because it does make Northern Ireland a very different part of the UK to the rest of the UK, and sort of it's in terms of trade with Britain, it is very disruptive, isn't it? I mean, I've got a cost here, a provisional cost of £850 million per annum for a province of 1 million people. So do you not agree that, the DUP have got a genuine beef with the protocol? Or do you think it's just an excuse to keep Sinn Féin out?
It's very difficult to say. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if there wasn't a big reason for them to say that they weren't going to do this. It would have been interesting to see if they would have done this if they got the first minister as well, but we can't know that. We can't know that. It would be all speculation. Many people think that they would have found an excuse no matter what, because you think about how far things came. Like, Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness became very close friends. They used to go to the chapel and pray together and things like that, like at Stormont. So they actually became genuine friends, and they had been the worst of enemies. And I think now with the generations moving on, that kind of burying the hatchet has gone, and we're sort of taking a step back there with regards to the relations between the parties. But who knows what would have happened? the DUP have sort of got a point in that the Northern Ireland is being treated differently to the rest of the UK, but it has actually been treated a bit better. And they wanted Brexit, you know, they wanted Brexit, and it's the only way it could possibly have worked. So like they've signed off on it. Boris Johnson got Brexit done, didn't he? This is how he did it.
Well, I mean, there is that aspect to it, that the sort of the Labour Party have been saying that clearly Johnson either didn't understand what he was signing, or he understood it and lied to everybody else about what its consequences were going to be, or he never intended to keep it and he was always going to double cross the EU. I mean, sort of, and you tend to think, well, what else is there? Just one question before you go, Paul, and I must move on to my other two guests. But sort of, if we continue like we are now, with sort of the DUP refusing to take anything but their salaries. They're refusing to have they're not meeting, they're not forming an executive, not forming a legislative, they're not doing anything apart from taking their salaries. It's called a zombified Northern Ireland. I mean, what will be the consequences of a zombified devolved government for Northern Ireland?
Just a lot more of the same, really. I think it does suit the Tory party to do this. Like, obviously, the Tory party will side with the DUP because there's a vote thing there. Like, if anything ever goes wrong, obviously, like before, when there was when the Conservatives failed to find a majority, they had the confidence and supply arrangement with the DUP. So they want to keep those links going anyway. But remember as well, the Conservatives are on the side of the DUP as well when it comes to Northern Ireland. Like, you know, they don't really want Northern Ireland to have its own power, in my view. They really aren't as committed to it as a lot of, like, some of them will be, but some of them who understand the situation will be, but they aren't fully committed to devolution. And the fact that this will limit devolution, this will become like rule from Westminster. If they can't rule from Stormont, it'll be rule from Westminster. Now that suits the Tory government. They're quite happy to rule Northern Ireland. It's one of their little colonies, isn't it? They can treat it like a little colony, even though the majority of people in Northern Ireland want to see Stormont work.
Keep the red flag flying here.